We're here at the mega conference, Make Europe Great Again, in Moldova. Sadly, not everyone in Moldova is so happy that we are here as conservatives talking about this topic. I have here Brian Brown. Thank you for being here. And it's been bizarre to hear your story of how you almost did not get into the country. So maybe you can tell our viewers what happened to you.
Well, I've been to Moldova many times. I did a World Congress of Families here with the past president, and I've never had any problems. But then I came to this Make Europe Great Again conference, and as I entered the country at 7 p.m., I had an overnight flight from New York to Warsaw, and then from Warsaw to here. Obviously I had not slept. I arrived here at 7 p.m. in Moldova, and as I tried to enter the country, they took my passport and said I needed to go to another room and wait. And eventually they came in and said I had been denied entry because I was on a national watch list.
And was there a reason for this? Did you have any problems with Moldova beforehand?
No, never. There was no reason given to me. And what was most perplexing, that in the room with me was a member of the European Parliament. It wasn't just me. There were others that had been rejected that were coming to this conference. So it clearly was the fact that I was coming to this Make Europe Great Again conference, and it wasn't just me, there were others. And so basically they held me in this area for inspection, and then they told me that they would buy my flight home. And then 3 hours later, I had waited in the airport under the bright lights. Obviously, there's no bedroom or anything. Then they told me that I would have to buy my own flight, which I did. I was there with a Greek spokesman for the Niki party, a Belgian member of parliament. They all ended up buying their own flights, I think, and flying out. I, however, bought a flight at 5 a.m., and no one came to escort me to my flight.
Well, what was going through your mind when this happened?
I kept telling them I'm missing my flight. I'm going to miss my flight. Someone needs to take me to it, and they never did. And then I started to think, well, this is going to be much worse than I had originally thought. I may be in Moldova for some time. I got to be honest. I was tired, but I was more upset about the fact that members of the European Parliament were treated the way they were, and I always thought that this was a mistake, and that given the fact that I have good relations with our administration and our president, I've always supported Trump. I thought they've made a tremendous mistake here, and I told them that. I said this will be an international incident, but obviously the border guards were not, they were just doing what they were told. So finally, even though I had paid for one flight, I paid for another flight at 9:20. I got on the line. They had taken my passport. I got on the plane. They gave me my passport back. And I thought, well, this is done. I'm not going to the conference. But then as the flight was about to take off, we stopped, and I looked around, and I looked out the window, and there was a truck with border agents, and they came onto the plane. They stopped the plane, and I was listening to what was going on. Finally, I heard them say, "Brian Stefan," my middle name, Brian Stephen, and then they said, "Brian Brown, is he on the plane?" And I raised my hand, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to be detained even more. Before that, I had spoken with the U.S. Embassy. So then I started to think, well, maybe the U.S. Embassy had intervened. But I didn't know what was going to happen. So they take me off the plane. They put me on a truck. They take me back to the customs. They ask me to give them back the statement that they had given to me that said that I was on a watch list. So I had signed this statement that I was on a watch list. I had no problem signing it because it had nothing to do with me. It had to do with they put me on a watch list, which, of course, if they say they did, they did. I have no way of knowing. So they took it. They never gave it back to me. And finally they said, the reason you're here, authorities made a mistake.
Of course they did.
Yeah, so authorities made a mistake. At the same time, I heard from the embassy that there were new developments. And new developments meant that, in my view, the embassy had contacted the government and the government realized it had made a pretty big mistake. And so then finally, after, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, because there was some discussion with the border guard, she didn't understand. She's like, well, what's happening here? Why are you letting him back in? Finally, she looks at me and she stamps it, and the gentleman from the border guard says, sir, we made a mistake. You are welcome to Moldova.
And the final question I would have is, why does Moldova, which wants to be part of the European Union, that's at least the position now of the current government, are they so afraid of you and of the mega conference? You're known for talking a lot about family values. You would say that is something that's not very scary.
Well, I mean, I think that they're very quickly going to come out and do what others have done and say that we're somehow connected with Russia or anything else. But this is all a lie. This is the same thing they did to President Trump. The fundamental reality is that, unfortunately, there's been a resurgence of Soviet-style tactics in these countries where people that are conservative are punished. And I think that for whatever reason, I don't know whether it was Maya Sandu or whether it was the security service, but some people decided that they were just going to stop this conference. And again, I imagine there will be, and I've already seen a bunch of lies about me and others to try and destroy us. They won't destroy us. So they're going to try, and they're going to say all these lies about us. But what the ultimate issue is, there's an election coming up in Moldova. We're standing up for conservative principles. Freedom of movement, freedom of association, freedom of speech means that we have a right to stand up and say what we think. The government may not like it, but it's absolutely insane to ban members of the European Parliament from entering your country when you want to join the EU. It is just insane. It is insane to try and have good relations with the United States and someone like me who, again, I'm not the most important person in the world. I've tried to do what I can do to advance the cause. Why would you ban me from the country? I mean, this is just Soviet-style tactics. So while I'm glad that the government changed their view on this, it should have never happened in the first place. It's not good for Moldova. And again, I've been here many times. I have a great respect and love for the Moldovan people. So all I can say is it seems very much that this was a political decision to punish people that some people in the government disagree with. That's what it looks like.
For sure, but let's be glad that we still had the conference, you were still able to make it. Thank you for sharing your story and doing all this good work for the conservative cause.
Glad to be here.